Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Gonzo Ewok channel with me, Ewok. Sadly Gonzo could not be with us today, he is otherwise engaged. I do hope he can join us later on in this series though. So I'm going to be playing Stellaris today. Some of you might remember I tried to play Stellaris a while ago, doing a sort of slave-based empire, and it didn't really pan out. And that was largely because the game of Stellaris, as it was at the time, didn't really support that kind of empire particularly well. It was difficult to play well as a slaver empire, there wasn't a lot of options available to you. And that's all changed now in version 1.5 Banks. I also have the Utopia DLC installed now, all of that released last week. And it's added a lot more to the game in a lot of different areas. One of the areas it's really improved things is if you're a slaving despot. So I figured we could go back and give it another go based on that. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm actually running version 1.5.1, which is a beta build to do some bug fixes over this weekend. So I may encounter some unforeseen circumstances, given that I'm using a beta branch rather than the main branch, but it makes sense to try and minimise the bugs as much as possible since it's a new release. I'm going to start off by creating a new race. We'll ignore the species for now, and we'll jump straight to government and ethics. Now, this has had quite a substantial makeover since the last patch. And the DLC adds even more to it as well. So, in order to be a xenophobic slaving race, I'm going to have to set myself up as probably authoritarian, which is replacement for collectivist in the last build, and xenophobe. So authoritarian means that I can use a caste system species policy. I cannot use democratic government forms, and I can displace aliens. Xenophobe allows me to purge and displace aliens, enslave aliens, gives me a decreased opinion for other species, means I can't give aliens full citizenship, can't allow aliens full military service. Full military service means that they can have generals and admirals, they can't have that under this. And I cannot welcome refugees into my empire. But it does give me an influence gain when I rival people, and it increases the border range of my empire. So that'll allow me to use as many slaving options as I want, and I probably want to pick militarist as well. So I have increased army damage and fire rate because I'm probably going to be at war a lot. Now I could say go fanatic authoritarian or fanatic militarist and just pick one of the others. But I want to be able to enslave my own people as well as enslave the aliens, which means I have to have authoritarian, xenophobe, etc. This allows me to choose my government setup, what I want my government to be like. I can't pick democratic because I'm authoritarian, so I could have oligarchic, if that's how you pronounce that. Does an election every 40 to 50 years. I could have dictatorial, which holds an election on the death of the ruler to select a new ruler, or I could have an imperial, which is you have a ruler and an heir, a designated successor, so that's emperors and kings and things like that. For this playthrough, I like the idea of dictatorial. I like the idea that I've got a ruler for life, but I've got all these people in the wings, these sort of high-ranking admirals and generals and people like that who are leveraging their power, wanting to be the next ruler, and are waiting for the previous ruler to pass away so they can come out the wings and fight for supremacy. A new civic that's been added incidentally is hive-minded, which just a completely different type of empire. It sounds really interesting, and I may do a let's play of a hive mind empire further down the line. But I'm not going to do it for this one because it disables a lot of really cool new features like civics and things like that add a lot of flavour to the game. And I want to experiment with those in this game. So now I've decided the ethics of my empire and the authority, the type of government that my empire is having. I can pick civics, which further refines my government. So say I wanted to be a police state, that would decrease unrest, which is a new mechanic. It was decrease unrest on my empire by -20. I get to pick 2 of these. So really I want to pick things that sort of follow what I'm going for, that match my kind of ethos as a slave building empire and will give me the best benefits from that. So Slaver Guilds is an immediate sort of one that stands out. Gives a food and mineral output from slaves of +10%. Slaves already have an increased food and mineral output, so that could be a good one. I'm going to highlight that one for the moment. Police state could be good to reduce unrest. I'll probably get a lot of unrest because I'll have some unhappy people. Environmentalist reduces the cost of consumer goods. That's a new thing that's in this build, so each of your pops use minerals. You can set how much consumer goods you let them have, and that increases their happiness. Not good for me, because slaves use a lot less consumer goods than free populations. Warrior culture could be good. I'm going to be fighting a lot, as could distinguish admirably. Fire rate +8%. That'll stack on top of the +10% fire rate that I've already got, which could be cool. Cutthroat politics, increased monthly influence. Shadow councils decreases the cost of influencing elections. Probably not a big deal for me, because as a dictatorial government I'll only have 1 election every lifetime. Mining guilds increases minerals by +10%, so that'll stack on top of my slaver guilds and my bonus for slaves as well, so that could be really cool. So that'll give me like a plus, I think slaves get +10%, so that would give me +30% minerals. That could be really good. Efficient bureaucracy lets me have more core sectors. Nationalistic zeal increases my border range. Building costs of functional architecture. Syncretic evolution is an interesting one. You have a second species that forms an integral part of your society, so you've got another species on your home world other than your main species, and they are naturally subservient. Could be good because they'll be naturally subservient, they'll be less likely to kick off, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with mining guilds. So I've really tailored my government to have slaves that produce a lot of minerals, so that could be really good. So I'm happy with that. I'm authoritarian, xenophobe, militarist with a dictatorship, slaving guilds and mining guilds. You'll see down at the bottom the tooltip. Based on my choices, the game has given me a government type of military dictatorship, government with a militaristic form of autocracy, the ruler serving as the undisputed head of the military, which is firmly in control of the state operators. That sounds about right. So we're a military dictatorship. That's my government sorted. With my government sorted, I'm going to go to my species. Now, what do I want? And now I just updated the game to the Galaxy Edition, so I've got these cool spider dudes. I like them, but they don't really fit with the image that I want for my dudes. Do I want a humanoid kind of guys? Do I want some humanoid dudes? No, because I did humanoids in my last playthrough. So I've got some mammals. I mean, these guys make cool slavers, obviously. Reptilian guys. These guys are pretty badass looking. I do like these guys. Again, perfect choice for crazed military slavers. Should I go with the croc guys? Maybe they look a little too mean. Don't look like they've got the intelligence to them. Avians. One of my favourites, of course, are the penguin-like ones. I've always liked the penguin guys. I think I like the reptilian dudes. I think there was a couple of reptilian dudes I could live with. These guys, maybe? Let's go with these guys. No, let's go with these guys. Right. Okay. That's my choice. I'm going with those dudes. I'll pick a random name. Kirillians. Yeah, I like that. The Kirillians. And for their names, I'll just have reptilian 1. Got a message. I thought that might be from Gonzo, but it's not. Right, so I can pick up to 5 traits. I've got 2 trait points, positives and negatives. So I probably want to pick things that match with my government type and my overall aim of slaves and minerals, I guess. So let's have a look what I've got. Not consumer goods, no interest in that. Conformists could be handy because it would stop them from creating factions. Factions are another new thing, which we'll see as we get into the game. Strong could be a good pick because it increases mineral production, so that'll stack on top of my already plus 30% for my slaves to plus 35%. Plus it increases my army damage by plus 20%. And then similarly very strong, that could be cool. Even more minerals. Or just industrious in general, plus 15% minerals. Yeah, so industrious sounds good, so I'm really maximising the amount of minerals that I'm going to get from my slaves. I like strong as well, but if I take strong, I'm going to have to do a negative point as well. Now I don't want to do anything that affects my leaders. So say slow learners has a leadership experience gain minus. I don't want that because with me being a xenophobe, my leaders are all going to come from my primary species, so I don't want to hang my head like that. Could be repugnant, could be deviant, could die quickly. Decadent. Happiness without slaves, minus 10%. That absolutely fits in with what I'm going for. Every planet that I have should have slaves on it. So we're going to be decadent, we're going to be strong, and we're going to be industrious. Rock and roll. So we're talking huge bonuses to minerals. We're really pushing mineral heavy, and that means I can really fuel the war machine. That's pretty cool. Ruler, I'll have a male ruler with a randomly generated name, random colours, random clothes. Oh, this is new, you can set the room that you're in. It used to be based on your ethics, but now you can pick whichever one you want. I mean, that's pretty cool. Bit technological though, that's not what I'm going for. I want something that just looks... That looks cool because you've got the fleets in the background, you've got like the war map going on in the background. I like the idea of the war map. Homeworld, let's be desert dudes. Lizards from the desert. With a random starting system called Zera, the homeworld Nizera. City appearance, I always like to follow the standard, so I'll have a reptilian city for my reptilian guys. The Star Authority sounds cool, but not cool enough. Oh, let's see. So we're militarist slavers, xenophobes. So the Kirillian. Probably should have thought this before I came on. I'm lacking inspiration. No. The armed Kirillian nations. Let everyone know that we've got guns. So with that, we probably want to go with something from the domination flags here. I like the burning sun's pretty cool. Cron doesn't really work because we don't have an emperor. You maybe have pirate ones. I like that, that's pretty cool. The colours, the primary colour that you pick now determines some elements of your ships as well, which is pretty cool. So I should get red coloured ships, which will be awesome. My ruler's a Grand Marshal, that's a cool name, I'll stick with that. I'm going to use energy weapons. I'm going to set FTL to hyperspace. So you'll see I've got sort of redness on all of my ships. So that would change if I went to my flag and I changed my flag to purple. My ship appearance would have purple on it, which is cool. So that's new, it just makes your ship stand out from other empires a bit, really. So there we go, the armed Kirillian nations, military dictatorship, dictatorial, slavers guilds and mining guilds. We're authoritarian, xenophobe militarists, and our population is industrious, strong and decadent. We use lasers, hyperspace travel and the reptilian ship types, and we're from a desert world called Nazira. Alright, let's save these guys. In terms of where we're going, I'm going to have a small galaxy because I'd like to do a couple of different games of Stellaris over the next few weeks and months. I'll put one advanced empire on, who can be my kind of main rivals. I'm going to turn fallen empires off for this game, so I'll add an extra AI empire. So we'll have 7 empires, one of whom is going to be an advanced empire start. No fallen empires, habitable world, we'll have just the standard amount of habitable worlds. We'll put the AI aggressiveness on high, we'll leave the difficulty on normal. Allowed FTL method, I want everyone to use hyperdrives. Empire placement will be in clusters, so we'll have neighbours. Iron Man mode will be on, there'll be no messing around. I'll leave my endgame crises on. And I'll have an elliptical galaxy, that's cool. Actually, I'll have a 2 spiral galaxy. That way there'll be a bit of separation between the empires, so there'll be like 2 sort of battles going on. And then gradually the victors of the 2 areas will probably merge and clash. That could be cool. So we go, small galaxy, spiral galaxy with 2 arms, 7 AI empires and 1 advanced AI start. No fallen empires in this game. High aggressive, normal difficulty, hyperdrives, clusters. Let's generate this galaxy. In the eons since the first primitive Kirillian communities took shape amid the great dune seas of Nazira, our civilization has spread and prospered. Technological progress has been swift, but as our numbers grew, the civilian population became increasingly restless. With our world on the brink of anarchy, the military stepped in to restore the rule of law. A new order was established to safeguard our nation from all threats, both internal and external. Now, after the discovery of the Hyperlane network, the finest minds of the armed Kirillian nations have finished development of our first hyperdrives. The stars themselves are finally within our grasp. So what I will do, just before I end this episode and we start the game proper, now that I've created my empire, is to make sure that all my starting policies and things like that are how I want them. We'll set our research going, so we'll aim for solar power networks. We'll unlock heritage sites, which are used to produce unity, which is a huge new part of the game that I'm really looking forward to getting into and telling you about. And nano composite, yeah, we'll go for nano composite armor. Because, you know, we're militarists, we want to get our military advantage. Quick look at where we are in the galaxy. So we've got a lot of hyperlanes sort of branching out from where we are. So whoever's over here, it's probably going to be a long time before we meet them, because they're the furthest away. Anyone around here we'll meet fairly quickly, but the armed Kirillian nations is a go. And let's just look at my policies and things like that. So we'll start with policies. Unrestricted wars are allowed, that's fantastic. Food stockpiling. Food is now a global resource and not a planet-wide resource. Minimal food stockpiling is good at the beginning because it means you can put most of your food into boosting your population. The more food surplus you've got, the faster your populations will grow. Orbital bombardment is unlimited. I'm going to go to full orbital bombardment. I don't want to be limited. Resettlement of our populations is allowed. First contact protocol is aggressive. Slavery is allowed, and purging is allowed. That's exactly what we want. Let's take a look at my species. So you can set rights for each species in your empire individually. So the species for rights for Kirillian is currently set to a caste system. Pops of the species will automatically be enslaved when producing food and minerals. Some Kirillians are more equal than others. Other caste systems you can go to are also that's exactly the same as caste system, only the ones who aren't enslaved don't get any voting rights. Similar to residents, they're not full citizens, they can't get involved in the government, things like that. Full citizens can be politically active, can produce leaders. There's general slaves. You can't use that for your primary species, but that just enslaves absolutely everybody in that species. So if I get an alien in, I can just enslave everybody rather than have a caste system where some are free and some are not. And undesirable means that they will be systematically purged, which is pretty cool. The slavery type as well you can set. So I have chattel slavery, which slaves have their rights curtailed and commonly work with food and mineral production. I could change it to domestic servitude as well, where domestic servants increase the happiness of free populations but are less productive than other slaves. You can also have battle thralls who are recruited into armies, and you can have livestock who you eat, which is fantastic. These are limited to people other than your primary populations, most of these, although I could turn my guys into domestic servants, but I'm not interested in domestic servants. I'm going to keep them as miners and food producers. We've also got loads of different types of purge as well, which is really cool. Obviously can't do that because I'm not purging my primary species. But yeah, it's really cool that you can now go in and set the individual rights of different species in your empire. You can also set the default rights, so I can say the default rights are going to be slaves. So anyone who's new who comes into my empire, unless I change them, they will default to being my slaves. Alright, looks like everything's got set up. My slaves are as they should be, my pops are as they should be, my ethics, my policies are as they should be. So on that note, I will leave the game, and I will be back soon to start playing the armed Kirillian nations and slowly but surely taking over the galaxy and enslaving all within it. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you like the look of the series. I hope you think it's going to be interesting. What I'm going to do is, before I publish this first episode, I'm going to get quite a few under my belt so that I've got plenty in the backlog for you to see, to make sure we don't get into the situation where you end up going for weeks without an update. But I hope to see you soon. Please feel free to comment on this video. If you like what you see, please subscribe, and see you soon.